Today I'm going to give you a few judging instructions to help you be able to judge a little bit better today and kind of let you know what we are looking for and what to put on ballots and that sort of thing, what to expect. Hopefully I'll answer all your questions as we go through. If you have any questions afterwards though, don't be afraid to ask the ballot table or any debaters kind of what's going on, and they're happy to help you. All right, the first thing that you need to know is you're going to get a ballot in hand. We're going to talk about debate events first. So with the debate events, you're going to go to the room number listed on the ballot. And when you get there, many times with public forum and Lincoln Douglas debate, there is an A flight and a B flight. That just means there's going to be two different rounds there. You're going to stay in the same room and they need to come in at the right time. So it's really important that as they come in, you check on the ballot to make sure that the proper teams are debating at the proper times, if that makes sense. So make sure with Flight A that it's those teams that are listed on the ballot. And then at that point, you can go ahead and fill out their names, their code. Please don't ask them their school. By not asking the school, it doesn't predispose you to maybe want to vote either for them or against them. We just want to keep prejudice out of the round as much as possible. Go ahead and be friendly though. That really helps them out. And remember that these are high school students. A lot of them are brand new to debate. And it takes a lot of guts to give up your Friday and Saturday to go ahead and come debate like they're doing. So with that, you're going to be listening to a round, and I'm going to go into more detail with the specific debates and how to judge those. So let's just go overall kind of what you're going to do as a judge. Now on those ballots, here's what the kids are looking for and what you need to fill out. At the end of the round, you're going to put who won. You're going to put the code. You're going to put names. You're going to put the side they were on. This really helps out because that way we won't have a mistaken ballot. A lot of times someone might put the affirmative one, but it was the wrong team, and then we have to come track you down. So it's good to put wherever it is on the ballot where the winner is. The other thing that you'll need to do is give speaker points. Usually this is up to 30 speaker points. Now the way I like to look at it is sort of a grading system. 30 is really an A+, and I don't give out a ton of 30s, and I'm really nice, but still I think you've got to earn that 30. You've got to be like near perfection, but even then I still do it for some great debaters who deserve that, and so don't hold back ever doing that. A 29 would be an A, still pretty dang good, A-ish. 28 is A- to like a B+. 27 is more of a B minus or so. 26, we're starting to get to maybe a C+. 25, maybe a C, something like that. So you're kind of getting the idea. Many tournaments have a minimum number of speaker points that they don't want you to go below. For instance, usually under 20 is saying that you're horrible and you should quit debate, and we never ever want to tell kids to do that. So please at least stay above 20. At least in my opinion, ask the tournament what they would prefer, but it really helps in the tab room if you keep it pretty about the same as other people are doing. So be honest, but be kind. And in fact, that would be the next thing. On the ballots, please be kind. Perhaps some of you are former debaters and you got reamed on your ballots and people were mean or maybe called you names. Don't be that judge that like scars someone for life. Be the judge that gives them some good critiques on how they can get better, but also what they did well or what potential you see in them. I've seen kids who get up and have a 1-minute case, but I still say, way to be strong. You still had some good arguments there. You just need to go a little further. Just remember, more than being a judge, you're a mentor. And these are high school students, so please be really nice to them. Give them that specific advice. Never, ever, ever be rude. The other thing that we're going to want you to put on there is reason for decision. We also call it an RFD, reason for decision. Many times judges will put oral critique. That doesn't help me as a coach because I like to read these ballots and see how best to help my kids. What the kids are going to come back and tell me is only either the good or all the bad that you said. They aren't going to really give me something that is going to help me help them. So please don't write oral critique, and please actually put the reason for decision. This shouldn't be the best speaker. Best speaker that's great. That's really important. But we have speech events for our best speakers, and we also have many times speaker awards for the best speakers. But the people who win a debate round should win on an argument. So you should put the argument or arguments that actually won that round. All right, so we're going to go down a few more things here. Please fill out your ballots carefully, but you're going to quickly return them to the ballot table as soon as possible. Now with the Flight A and Flight B, you don't have to return it between flights. Just stay there, collect them, and off you go. Usually we say no oral critiques, or if you have to give some, give it very brief. But please don't say who won or lost unless the tournament has specified that that's okay to do. The reason we do this is that because our brand new debaters, when they hear that they lose a round, they actually give up. And we don't want them to give up. We want them to keep going to their next rounds. So it's really good just to be really positive that way. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is, no matter how you feel about the topic that you're listening to, you need to put aside your strong feelings so that the affirmative or negative have an equal chance of winning. Please understand, a lot of times these kids, most of the time, they are not given the choice as to the side. They have to write cases on both sides, and they have to be able to defend both sides. So if you come in with a strong prejudice, and no matter what, affirmative is going to win every time, then really you're not being a judge. You're just putting down your own opinion. Please listen to the arguments. Please take some notes. What they're going to do is do something called flowing, and I am going to do a little video on flowing if you want to learn how to flow, which is just a fancy way of saying they're taking notes. But it's important to take notes because the rounds last at minimum like 40 minutes. And in that time period, you really can't keep track of who said what, when, and making sure that in those final speeches that there are no new arguments, because that should never happen. If there are brand new arguments in the final speeches, you need to disregard them. A kid shouldn't lose because they brought them up, but they shouldn't ever win on those arguments. They should just be wasting their time by bringing up new arguments because the other team or the other debater doesn't have a chance to answer those. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps you out. If you have really strong feelings on the topic, please bring your ballot back to the ballot table and tell them you'd rather maybe judge a different debate that has different topic. So, and I felt that way many times very strongly, but just looking at the notes that you take, you can kind of see who were the better debaters, and they should clash. And what I mean when I say clash is there should be arguments against the arguments. So they're each going to present a case. There should be arguments against those cases. If there are no arguments, those arguments like go through unbeaten, and they should probably win on that. And that's what I say. A good debate has clash. It's not just a speaking event. All right. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do, besides putting aside your bias, is that if you think of a great argument against one of the debater's arguments, don't use that as a reason for decision. We've actually seen ballots or heard judges say, wow, these kids thought of a really good argument, but I know that this is happening, so that can't work. Or I know that I read this yesterday, so of course that's not going to work. That's really bad. That has to be up to the debaters to point that out and bring that to you and make sure that's actually happening. All right. The next thing, when you come in, the kids don't mean to be rude or anything, I promise. Sometimes, and they should be asking kind of how you judge or what your experience is. If you are a mom or a dad or a grandma or grandpa or a friend, whoever who is here today, and you are judging without any debate experience, well, welcome to the club, because that's probably, I would say, 70%, 60 to 70% of our judges are moms and dads and people with no debate experience, just like you. So thank you for being here. But it's important also to tell the debaters that is who you are. A lot of times they'll be too nervous or they'll forget to ask you. So for me, I always throw it out there that this is my debate experience. This is the kind of round I'm looking for. In the end, this is who I believe wins. And so please prove those things to me and you're going to be okay. One of the things some of the kids might ask you is, are you okay with speed? And they mean speed, which is very speedy. So if you have never listened to debate rounds before, please just tell them to go slow. Just tell them to slow down. And if they're going too fast for you, tell them maybe between their speeches that please slow down. If they keep on doing it, you warned them ahead of time. At that point, if you don't get their arguments, then that is their fault, not your fault at all. So just know that, but it is nice to tell them sort of your background. Let's see. If they don't have timers and if they're not timing themselves, you need to give them time signals. I like to buy these Dollar Tree timers and even hand them to the kids to time themselves. But even so, I like to time them as well, because there are times when kids think they push the button and they don't, and then suddenly they have 2 more minutes of speaking time, and it's hard to undo that time. So it's probably good to time them as well, even if they're timing themselves. But please, please don't tell them they're not allowed to time themselves, because many times judges forget to give time signals, and there's nothing worse for a debater than that timer going off and they had no idea how much time they had and they forgot to hit some arguments and different things like that. So please don't tell them they can't time themselves. It's just nice to back them up. Please pay close attention to what is happening in the round. Again, take those notes. If you're a former debater and you think, wow, this is so novice, this is boring, whatever, we're asking you to be here today to pay close attention to these kids and be those mentors. Don't play video games on your computer, even if you think you can listen at the same time. That's just very unprofessional. Don't be texting. A lot of times if you get a text maybe during prep time, I don't mind you, texting back or whatever it is that you need to do. But while the kids are speaking or doing cross-ex, you really should be paying attention to that at that time. All right, so I think that about covers it. Thank you again for being here. You guys are so awesome for showing up, and I hope that you have a good time, because these kids will knock your socks off. They are so, so smart. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, because we're happy to help you out. Coming up, I am going to cover Lincoln Douglas debate and public forum debate and give you a few instructions on each of those. So see you really soon. Thanks.